Welcome to the Queensland Racing Preview. I'm Nick Ithcott and I'm joined by Shane Ciurleo. Shane's been bitten by a spider. He looks like he's got a little bit of a red mark on the side. Spider-Man. And he's got his pre-gym shake there. Show everyone up below the table there, Shane. You've just been working out. You got a PT this week after you've been fat-shamed on the bulldozer. Mate, you're looking very gaunt in the face.
Yeah, I don't look great, do I, actually? That's really annoying.
I don't know. The spider bite
might be crook.
It could be a hickey.
It's definitely not that.
Now, the racing, speaking of crook, the races are back at Eagle Farm this weekend. The rails that are true. We saw some interesting footage or pictures of Kamentari kicking up sort of what looked to be really big clods at the track. How do you expect the track to race or play? You touched upon it on the radio this morning, but what do you think it's going to do?
Look, I think, I suppose you've got to have an opinion going into a meeting, and I think the track will chop up quickly and deteriorate, just like we've seen, the last couple of meetings there before the break. So how I understand it from the participants and people that have ridden on the track and trainers and the feedback that you wouldn't read about in the paper is that once the top of the track is cut off and they get through it, it then becomes really firm under hoof. So the grass had some kind of disease or something in the leaf and in the root system, so it wasn't binding, so it was getting pretty well mashed up and then being very firm. So you'd notice in the results there's big margins between first and last. Some horses just not letting go and some horses, some abject failures there with no real explanation. So I'm going to approach the meeting like it's the same Eagle Farm that we've been betting on earlier in the year, and that's under proviso that we don't get a lot of rain. It doesn't
look like there's any.
It doesn't. So it is a good draining track, and you'll read about that part of it. Look, we've had 100 mils on this track prior to racing, over the summer, and they raced on a good 4, and it was still a very firm surface. So I'm betting I'll be doing the form on the races accordingly, that we're going to be racing on a firm Eagle Farm surface.
Okay, we might just look at 6, 7, 8. This week I'll be covering the Eagle Farm meeting, so pray for me. And Curls is on fire at the moment. He'll be covering the Gold Coast Friday and then Dalby on Saturday. There's been a little talk about doesn't matter where they are, they still pay the same price, as the saying goes. But there's been some talk. Last week there was a huge amount of dual nominators for the Sunshine Coast meeting and then the meeting on Saturday. It's been decimated with scratching, so we won't go into any of the Gold Coast races because there is a lot of overlap. So we'll just talk about race 6, 7, 8. But yeah, hats off to Racing Queensland in terms of their program. I think over the COVID period, there's just been an embarrassment of riches of good races to bet on and lots of different varieties. So people can be a little bit too critical sometimes, but I'd rather have lots of product on the shelf than not at the moment. I think they're doing the best that they can and giving trainers options and horses lots of different options to sort of win races. So I think, there's probably not much chop in betting early, but bet once the fields are sort of known. But looking at race 6 at Eagle Farm, it's a mouth-watering clash here with Isotope and Rothfire going head-to-head. There's been a lot of talk during the week who's the best 2-year-old in Queensland. It'll depend what distance, I would have thought, with Wisdom of Water and Kishikano in the mix as well. And then you've got the Sydney Visitor Wild Ruler in the mix as well. So if you look at the market, it's about $2.30 Isotope, Rothfire $2.80, and then $7 Wildfire, looking at sort of the best price in the market. What's your take on the race or read on the race, Curls?
Yeah, look, I've pretty well identified. It looks a 2-horse race. I'll just look. I suppose Bailix is one other you could potentially throw in the mix there. I know it's double figure price, but it has had some spruik, and it hasn't seen a firm surface, I don't think, on race day. So it's certainly going to get that here. So it could be the fly in the ointment potentially, but this stage I sort of wouldn't expect anything different from Rothfire. Trials and that have been well documented leading into this. I'd expect them to be aggressive. I expect them to find the front, and I expect them to run along. Interesting is probably one way of putting it. The tactics on Isotope last start, ridden with that sit, lengthened nicely, obviously, on trial to get to 1400, and the JJ is something that the stable has spoken about. So, like, at this stage, I'm probably in the Rothfire camp on a firm track, running to the front and being very hard to get past.
Yeah, over the 1200 metres, I would have thought that Rothfire would have the edge over Isotope at this stage, even though Isotope might have an apparent sort of fitness edge over that runner. I thought Wild Ruler, the gear change with the crossover noseband, will be interesting to see how that horse reacts to that. For some horses, it can be a blessing. I'll have to go back into the punting form database and have a look at some analytics around, stats with, Snowden crossover noseband sort of first time. But, with that form around Makura, I'd be wary with a horse of, sort of that calibre coming into this race as well. Sometimes you can get a little bit caught up in your own little fishbowl, hey, Kels, and sort of miss the Sydney side of coming up to knock the Queenslanders out. It's always a good thing to keep an eye on first up horses from Melbourne or Sydney when you're betting into Queensland races, to keep them well under your guard, especially from the Toby Edmonds yard. I think that's something to look out for. In terms of betting into the race, it'll be small units, and I'll sort of be betting late, but they look the 3 chances to me. Speaking of a really good horse coming from Sydney, I've sort of heard that they've been offered over $2 million for this Michael Canane, I guess they've named the horse after, from the Chris Waller yard, once trained by Mick Kent, winner of the Frank Packer Plate, enormous win. Ryan Maloney's picked up the ride. I think that suits him. Barrier 17 allows his horse to have clear air. What horse beats, a galloper of this class? Looking at the punting form benchmark data ratings, he's got a significant edge. So he'd have to regress heavily back to the 1800. And the other horse that I sort of thought was impressive last start and wasn't really suited with the setup was Supergiant. I thought it could improve out in front. I'm not saying it could beat Canane, but I've definitely, after its last run, it was sort of put the writing on the wall. It's going to knock over a lot of races, Supergiant. What are your thoughts on the gun, Sid? Girls?
I suppose the first thing I noticed was probably the lack of horses from down south coming up, and sort of targeting this race on the way to, some longer distance 3-year-old races. It does look a gift, really, to the favourite. Like you say, the data around its win in the Frank Packer Plate was super. A little bit to be desired, really. The locals sort of at this trip, we looked at a couple of horses here, like Prophet and Ballistic Boy, for example, who were pretty strong in the market at some local runs, and had a fair sized pot on those couple of horses last time, and they've failed again. Even to see a horse like Prophet come up $5 is quite strange. I think that if you're looking at winning chances, it's not one of them. It takes up a fair percentage of the market. So Canane looks a good price. I think it'll start deep into the red come jump time. But, like you said, there's some horses, some more progressive types like Supergiant who, super run the other day. Took a good one to get him down late. There could be some potential plays at some good place prices, but for me, it's just about the favourite and the favourite winning, and then it'll come down to map. And once again, you come back to a horse like Supergiant from the gate, should be able to get the favourites.
Just for my own personal amusement, I'd love for you to back Canane and then get beaten, because I know you love betting on the Waller camp, and I just love you. Sort of like Dan Kelly. Once you get beaten after backing a a Waller run. I think you ran as good as DK, so it
Wow.
would tickle my fan.
Look, I've got we've all got plenty of examples, and look, the latest one, and this is certainly not influencing my decision on this race, but there was Ciurleo come up from Sydney the other day off a nice win, and ran into that nice horse Edmonds, Wisdom of Water. Aquas has ownership in both horses. Ciurleo's $6 out to $19 on the fair and takes no part and gets beaten home by Maideners, and Wisdom of Water bolts in, and Ciurleo will be a completely different horse. If he gets into the JJ 1400 Group 1, he's just a freak grand final trainer, Waller, and also at having the right horse win, in their prep at the right time. One of their non-winners things won at the Gold Coast last week, got up the fence, never went around a horse.
Gresham. And,
they interviewed Shayla after the race, and he said, yeah, we tricked him into winning today. We rode him cold and we just kidded to him, and we tricked him into another win. They're freaks at it. It just drives you mental. Long price winners when the stable mate's favourite and things like that. But this is not a run-of-the-mill race. This is a Group 3 on the way to a Group 1, and he should be getting the job done here, surely. If a stable mate knocks it off here, I'll make DK look like a kindergarten tantrum.
Now, I'd probably say that the Champagne Classic's the feature race on the card, but I guess the nonny feature race of the card would be the Victory Stakes, where probably the captain coach of the nonnies, Kamentari, takes up, I think he's come up second favourite just over Vega 1. I think we'll just do runner by runner sort of commentary around winning chances here, and we'll probably just end up with a lot of egg on our face because a lot of these horses just sort of seem to be on the merry-go-round at the moment. But let's go with Kamentari for the first one. We'll go all the way down the page. So Kamentari, I'd say he was a slight forgive last start. If his name wasn't Kamentari, you'd think the run was okay coming into this. I think a bigger trackers suit him. I think he can win. Curls,
I'm trying to start an argument with you here. Like, where's the form? I know we're going through these runners one by one. Where's the form, Kamentari? This is a no-form race. This is a no-form horse. Don't quote me that it's ran seconds in Group 1s. This thing could run second anywhere in the world. This thing could run second in an Arc and then run second in Everest. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
No, can't have it. Can't have it.
Well down. Vega Days, Grey Worm, Tambo's made have lowered his colours. So, agree. He looks really well found at the $5. So, it'll be interesting to see what the late Godolphin money does there. Cesar off a pretty reasonable break. I thought was okay late. Wouldn't shock at the price. I couldn't be against it at 30. I wouldn't want to lay it.
Yeah, but it can't win, in my opinion.
Tyre Zone.
Yeah, look, he's a good toiler with a terrible racing pattern for this class. He probably lacks a length or two to sit back from gate 16 and round them up. I hope he'll run well. He's honest, but I just don't think he has the killer blow.
I don't say this often, but I think Frard suits him. Tambo's mate got the money last start. McGilvray sticks, good around Deep Image. I was sort of a bit shocked when Tambo's mate won. I couldn't really believe my eyes. But Stewart Kendrick, as I so oftenly say, is very hard to catch. I'm not sure what he does, but he's very tricky and clever.
Yeah, look, he goes good, Stu. He's got this horse going really well. Obviously they win the BRC sprint last time and he gets the golden ticket. So you probably he gets a run in the Stradbroke, I think. And, he's going to be on speed. It does looks a race that's devoid of any speed on paper unless someone decides to change their tactics. And he'll be thereabouts again in a very similar field to last start in a very similar run race.
I thought Chapter and Verse looked a big price, given the race is so shallow, off an SP profile.
Yeah, he's been this horse sort of running consistently around Queensland's open sort of horses like Outback Barbie, those sorts of horses, Deep Image, and thereabouts. Like, we'll probably need the race run to suit. It's a little bit of a tricky gate for it, I thought, but I could imagine it'll be further back than backward of midfield, more so than in front of midfield from the gate, and probably better horses finishing off than him.
Nick and Over will need every bit of the 1200. He goes well fresh, though.
Yeah, he's a good horse. He's sort of in that pretty similar sort of bracket to a horse like Chapter and Verse. Good around Queensland's, sort of better horses. I think you're right. I think he probably get a bit better over a little bit further.
What did you think of Victor M last start? He buck jumped early.
Yeah, look, I'm looking for a bit of egg on face here. I want to take something on, and just like, where's the form, Victor? Like, what's it ever? It's a listed winner at Eagle Farm, beating YPO a couple of preps back. It ran second in a pretend race at Randwick, worth $1.3 million.
Second to Viridine Scone. You're right. It's a bit of a trick shot there. Vega One was okay last start. Looks well found though at 550 for mine.
Yeah, I think there was there's a school of thought that it was probably the run of the race last time when all these met. The switch up jock change here, Jim Byrne on it, Bailey on the Outback Barbie. Jim Byrne gets the ride. Vega One in the Stradbroke with 52. So I don't think Bailey could make the weight. So hence Jim's on here. It's probably, he's going to try and posse up somewhere a little bit closer, this time rather than last start. I think he'll settle, in front of Kamentari. He'll beat that horse home comfortably. I reckon he's got a length or two on him, and certainly not going to be against him. He's one of the winning hopes for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be a bit skinny for mine at the current
point.
Signor Fox, outclassed.
Looks it. Yeah, that'll do. Outclassed.
Deep Image, I thought it was a really honest run. It didn't surprise me, the remarkable improvement from the first up run, trip away, and then come back to Doomben, which is typical of Robert Heathcote horses to improve significantly back at home.
Yes, I liked the travel before, and then run again. I think that just helps fitness, etc. Really keen on this horse. I've had something already. I think I don't have any issue with the gate. Steph's just got to get the horse to begin that little bit better this time. If he begins a little bit better last time, the horse probably gets to the spot outside the leader and probably wins the race. And I think on this track where he has excellent stats, really enjoys it here, I think you'll see an aggressive ride, and I think you'll see this horse in front at the furlong marker. And it's just a matter of whether the others can run him down. I think this is one that's, at the quote was a little bit over the odds. I give it a leading chance.
Brad Stewart jumps on Winter Bride. Comes off a 41-day break off an okay run behind White Moss. Not sure if it was suited on the heavy. It's trialled at Bow Desert. I'm not sure if you've seen that trial, but I think that she'd have the class to win a race like this. And I think barrier 10, Stewart can probably follow and sit behind Deep Image if they liked. And Gia, I think it's got the class to go past your horse Deep Image for sure at a similar quote.
Yeah, it's another one that has attracted a little bit from me as well. I think it's a great winning chance. Arguably should have been a Group 1 winner. Should have won the Railway at Ellerslie probably. It's a bit stiff. It's been very consistent and close up. In some good races behind some proper group horses where big question marks on a few of these whether they're proper group horses. So it's one of the two horses that I think are over the odds for sure. I think it's definitely winning.
Surprise Freddie Foxtrot has found his way here.
Oh, well, he's been aggressively ridden in a couple of wins, and I'd imagine they'll ride similar here. And the firm, if they don't get any rain and the track, stays pretty firm, he's a pretty adaptable sort of horse, but he has, proven himself, has run well here. So I think from the gate it can be settle closer, and it's a top 8 chance.
Soxagon seems like a new horse this prep.
Yeah, actually had form behind Vega 1 last time. I'm not 100% sure whether it's one of these that's dual accepted, so I'm not 100% sure whether he comes here, but
no, not.
Certainly up in class here, and he's unknown probably against a few more of these. Did SP big price behind Vega 1 when it ran second to it, but I won't be backing him anyway. I don't think he's a winning hope.
Outback Barbie, there was plenty of money for her last start, which sort of seemed to me that indicated she'd be ready for that contest. She was just sort of there and sort of lacked a killer punch. I couldn't be with her, but this is a mare that mixes a form. So, yeah, look, it surprised me.
I've sort of, you wanted to get egg on our face. I've got this horse double figures. I don't think it's a winning chance. She's been to Eagle Farm a few times and has disappointed when she's come here. I think you're right about the SP profile of it and stablemate Vega 1 last time. Outback Barbie was there to win. Vega was there to hit the line on its way to the Stradbroke, which we've seen from it. It's, the stable's very consistent at that. The horse at SP's and as well supported in the market runs better. This horse was there to win. The only sort of potential tick you could give the horse was it went back to the inside, which is probably the inferior part of the track. But I've got some big question marks over this horse and at this track, so I'm happy to be against it. I'm not going to lay it or anything. I just think that it's half the price it should be, and Winner Bride and Deep Image were the two that should be about the same price as this horse.
Yeah, I think she's better suited in mare's grade. I used to back her. I think I backed her last year's Tats Tiara, and when she finds mare's grade, I think she's hard to beat. But against the boys, I just think she gets found out. And I think, you're right. She's like a small track horse rather than a big track. And we often talk about track profile here, so I won't keep going into that. Free of Debt, I thought, was a little bit over the odds with its form around Zeelong, who actually ran a pretty good race in the Goodwood. Only beaten 3.6 to Trekking, sort of let him up and knocked up there. So that's not the worst form if this horse is sort of a 50-1 chance. But again, it's going to be up and on, and I'm not sure if I can see the race sort of panning out. I just don't know if you want to be up and on the speed with a horse like this. It might bust it up again. Like, it might be just deja vu. It just needs to find a different style of race or sort of race. Like Eagle Farm, I can sort of see him wanting late.
Well, I sort of expect him, like, if I've marked this horse as the potential fly in the ointment, like I said previous, at the start, if it doesn't look like a great deal of speed on paper, but, you get a horse like Free of Debt, which is on speed runner that's drawing the outside gate. Maybe they just press. I've got no idea what it's doing here, to be honest. Is it a wet tracker? Like, is its best efforts on the wet? Don't know that it's done a lot on the dry, apart from, it's got big margins on the dry. I'm happy to be against this horse. I don't. Surely there was a Class 1 somewhere at Bow Desert or somewhere they could have run
it. So I say that, Winter Bride's probably the horse out of all that I'd be probably most interested. I think she's going to get an okay run if they decide to tack on the back of Deep Image, and might be just me and Curls coming up the home straight. Just knowing Curls' form at the moment, I'm sure Deep Image would out-bob it on the line, and I'd run second just yet again. But he is seeing them really well. So if you want to jump on board, head to themailbag.com.au. And yeah, bet often and bet wide. Gold Coast and Dalby this week.
Interesting meeting at Dalby too. Just got to give Dalby a plug. It's there's 10 races there on Saturday. So they've had 15 mils of rain at Dalby this week. So it's like a real like black soil track. So if it gets too wet, it's like running in sticky mud. So be interesting to see what happens between now and race one as far as the weather's concerned. But there's always a couple of opportunities out wide.
What question without notice? Dalby, Gatton. What's the best one to attend in physically to go and absorb the atmosphere of the out white joints? Like Mawilumbar, I can throw that in there. Like,
yeah, I haven't been there.
What's the best thing about that? I hear there's lots of snakes around Mawilumbar in the sugarcane.
Yeah. Well, Kilcoy is known as the Moonee Valley of the North. It's nothing like Moonee Valley. It's a hell of a lot better, and they have the best stakes. They have the best stakes in Queensland, I think, at a racetrack. Definitely, unique little setup there at Kilcoy. Gatton's got the best bar, best attended public bar. It's in the open, little tin roof and tin shutters that they open up, and it's all very well patronised. And there's plenty of locals that don't want to drink, whether it's 10:30 a.m. race 1 or 6 o'clock race 10. Well patronised. There is some unique racetracks actually around here. So, but I normally rate them on where I'm successful at. So, Toowoomba's the best track in Australasia, and probably Gatton, Kilcoy, and Warwick's probably the worst track in Queensland.
Well, once COVID lifts, we might have to just have a look at the schedule and try and do a Curly's provincial circuit tour, and we might get a little bus, and if we can get enough interest and get 20 blokes to go on a tour for a week, we might try and hit three of these meetings in a week and see how much money we can win off the bookies.
How good would it be?
Hey?
How drunk? Well, I was going to say how good would it be, but then I was thinking how drunk we'd get. So there'd be no drinking until we finish betting. Would have to be the rule.
Be good fun. Thanks, mate. Good luck, and we'll tune in to everyone. As we post out the sets on Friday and Saturday. So, Thanks, guys. Thanks, girls.
Good, mate. Cheers.
See you, buddy.